Hello, hello. Yes, we had a little technical difficulties there, but we're past that. Hi. I'm your host Kai Zen, and this is Black Sky Legion Zero Prep. This is episode 110, episode 9 of Zero Prep, where I'm just gonna go ahead and set this here to give you guys a little background. There you go. As I said, I'm your host Kai Zen. I have a set of beers here for me today for this show. We've got, I already drank in the prep, Evil Genius Brunch So Hard beer. And now I'm working on a Benedictiner Fest beer, some kind of German beer. Imported from Germany, it says on the bottle, as if you needed to know. I've got a Yard's Loyal Lager. I've got a Yingling Hershey's Chocolate Porter, a Vienna Lager, and 2 Dragon's Milk. So that should get me through the show, no problem. With us, we have Ben is not here today. He is taking care of family stuff. He will be here next week, and then the week after, and then he'll be out the week after that. But we do have SOUVARINE. Say hi to the beautiful people and tell them what you're drinking, Souv.
Hello, beautiful people. I'm drinking coffee.
Coffee. Right on, right on. Good stuff. We also have Wolf. Say hi to the beautiful people.
Hello, everyone. I have a Devil's Backbone Vienna Lager and that Benedictiner Fest beer. I have some of that in the fridge. It is good.
Yeah, it is. Unfortunately, this one's defective. It's empty already, and I just cracked it open. Let me just put that in the recycling, and I'll pop open in honor of yours. I've got Devil's Backbone Brewing Company Vienna Lager.
Wow.
So I'll enjoy that.
Seems we have very similar tastes.
Hell yeah. We also have with us tonight Ark, who, let's just go around, let's put everybody in the spot and make it really awkward. Hey guys, you want to just make Ark part of the Zero Prep crew? Show of hands.
Yeah.
Why not?
You can't see my hands, but I'm raising them both.
You have 2 hands and a penis up. Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, and my feet. Yeah, it's really awkward.
You're just laying on the ground like a cockroach with all of your limbs in the air.
Yeah, exactly.
End the screen.
Hell yeah.
My desk chair is not made for this.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. All right. So that's the crew. We're here today. What are you drinking, Ark?
Well, since I drank 2 Dragon's Milk too fast in consecutive earlier today, and that put me in my ass, now I'm drinking a nice dirty water tea that you could find probably in SOUVARINE's house, I'd imagine.
Bro, I did 1 episode of Black Sky Legion. I had 8 Dragon's Milk during the show. Yeah.
Yeesh.
Yeah. So we say, okay, we've got Winter Mute here in the chat. Hello, good sir. We got, what is this? Soul Ripper. Okay, right on. Let's see. Parallel Rolls. Hello, sexies. Is that you, Twitch? Or sorry, Souv? Parallel.
Accidentally, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm just trying to sort that out. That wasn't my intention.
No worries. I'm like, I think that's Souv. All right, Souv is he's some kind of hacker. He's trying to trick us into giving up the whole show in some kind of weird It's a Wonderful Life thing gone horribly wrong. We got Captain Dusty. Hey, just signed up to be a citizen. Right on, brother. Right on. Good stuff. All right. All right. So we got some stuff to talk about today. Obviously, we're going to talk about New World. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into some Star Citizen. We're going to get it into some... We're going to talk some details on Foundation. Now, I think what's smart to do is to do sort of a spoiler zone, and to, kind of sort of how do I say it? We'll talk generally about Foundation, but we won't talk about this week's episode. We'll save it till next week, so that way we give everyone a solid week to hear through the episode. How does that sound to you guys? Sound fair enough?
Yep. We ought to we'll give people a heads up that it's going to be spoiler rich for the next couple of minutes. And
sure.
You're all grown ups. You can make your own decisions. In
Yes.
general, as a side note, I think the obsession and the allergy to spoilers that people seem to have now, I find really bizarre.
Yes.
Like, I know people who, if you intimate, like, I don't mean ruin shit. I don't mean like completely wreck arcs and stuff. But if you even discuss a setting in any way, people like jam their fingers in their ears and they get really angry at you. And I'm like, when did everybody become so incredibly childish? Like, none of these stories are particularly new. Like,
yeah,
the goodie's probably going to win.
In addition to that,
at the end of the second act, like what Jesus fucking Christ, people, grow up.
In addition to that, Foundation is a book that started off of a serialized short story, whatever, that was first published in the late 40s, early 50s. So, like, whatever.
Yeah.
But
it's been amply spoiled already.
Yeah. But I just want to kind of, I want to be a little bit respectful of people. I agree 100% with you. And whenever people tell me, like, oh, I don't want to, whatever, like, very few things, I'm like, yeah, okay, cool, thanks, I'll take off. But for the most part, I'm like, I don't care. Go ahead, whatever. If the story's good, the story's good. Hey, I see Wolf over here, Wolf the Baconator over here in Cutlass Keys. What's up, my boy? Oh, hello. Don't worry, your iron is safe. I'm going to get...
Keys.
Where are we at, Monarchs?
Shit, we are at Cutlass Keys. I was about to fuck that up.
Oh, bro. Yeah, I was going to say, don't worry. I'm not going to steal all of your iron. I'm going over here to cut down trees. I got some board quests. All right, so let's start with Foundation, if everybody's good with it. First off,
yep.
I just got to ask, who's seen this week's Foundation that came out 2 days ago?
Is that episode 8?
I don't know, dude. Whatever. The one that came out 2 days ago. The one, the one that's all about.
No, not yet.
Empire walking the spire, among other things.
Okay, no, I've not seen that. I've seen
good.
The part leading up to that.
So good.
Does he actually walk the spire?
So good. Yes.
Okay, so I've got as far as he's talking about going. He's going to go and walk the spire, but he hasn't actually done it yet.
This week's episode, he actually walks the spire, and you get to see some really beautiful, interesting. Oh my God, yeah, it's so good, it's so good. But as we're not getting into the spoilers, I just wanted to see who's seen it. We're gonna move on to up till last week's episode. So let's start off with the premise. Let's start off with the story and start talking about it, because we haven't done any. We've just been like, oh, it's good. But like after last week's show, Suv and I had a talk, and we were like, dude, let's just fucking talk about it, but we'll just go 1 week off. That way, no one's got a right to complain. If you really care, you should have seen up to, not this week's maybe, okay, fine, you're busy, whatever, but you should have seen up to last week. If you don't care, then you shouldn't care about us spoiling it. We're nerds that are going to talk about a cool show, and if you're not interested, what are you doing here? Like, whatever. So go, like I said, go get Apple TV Plus, watch this, or steal it. I don't care. I'm not your dad. But getting into up to this week's, let's start with the fact that this series in particular is known for being one of, how do I say this? His old, Isaac Asimov's, this is the greatest sci-fi story in history, not according to me, but according to, it was rated by, they did a huge thing where they rated all of it, and this beat out. Number 1 was Foundation as a series. Number 2, no, not the TV show. They're talking about the book series. Number 2 was Lord of the Rings. It was voted by just a massive group of reviewers and whatever as the greatest ever, story, sci-fi fantasy story series. And I'll say this: Isaac Asimov is sort of famous for he wrote about ideas. He wasn't really famous for character development per se. A lot of his books are kind of meh on the character development. What he wrote was a big, massive, cool idea and playing with that idea and seeing where it goes. And Foundation was the pinnacle of that. It's just so very much a concept book. And the concept behind it is there's this genius, math genius named Harry Seldon, and he develops this school of math called psychohistory. And the idea is that he can take, not from a small person, he can't tell you like a small sampling, he can't tell you what one person's going to do next week or next year. But if you get a large enough sampling, like a whole civilization or a whole planet full of people, or in this case, a whole galaxy full of people that are all under this one civilization, he can do the math and he can tell you, he can predict with absolute accuracy their future. And there's this galaxy spanning sort of empire, and they run everything from this planet called Trantor. And he comes up and predicts that the galaxy is going to, the empire is going to fail. It's going to plunge the galaxy into this horrible darkness. It's going to basically end civilization as we know it. But he's come up with an idea of, we're going to take a sort of a backup. We're going to create this colony called the Foundation. They're going to be at the far edge of the galaxy, and they're just going to sort of restart. They're going to save and protect the sum total of human knowledge, and they're going to sort of restart, jumpstart society. So in human history, we've had like the what was it? The Library of Alexandria was supposed to have been, sacked and burned and looted, and we sort of lost all of sort of the sum total of human knowledge and sort of went back into the Dark Ages, and it set back humanity by hundreds and hundreds of years of lost knowledge, and mathematics and science and all of these things had to be reacquired. So he's got this idea that they're going to create this colony and it's going to save and protect people. That's sort of the very, very short version of it. So let's start and go through and just talk, all of us guys, talk about from episode 1 all the way up, talk about the stories, what you liked, what you didn't like, what you thought was interesting, what you thought was like whatever, and let's get into it. Sue, why don't you start us off?
Okay, yeah. So I'm up to the end of episode 7, and I've been watching it while playing New World actually, and it's been which is really good. It's been it's a nice way to do it because I can do things like get my mining skill up and stuff like that. Foundation is it's not going to be my favorite series. There's too much of it that they have changed for what I feel are probably political reasons, and not enough of it that is stellar writing on its own. But I do enjoy it, and there are elements to it which I think are absolutely brilliant. I think there is tension between there's a bit of tension between what they've changed and the original stories. Like, for example, the idea that Harry Seldon had to die for it to for the Foundation to be successful, and he sort of displays quite a lot of the whole idea of Harry Seldon's mathematics is that it's about big numbers, not individuals. He's not a master manipulator of individuals. He's good at foreseeing. His maths is about foreseeing what is nearly inevitable in terms of the grand dynamics of civilizations. And there's quite a lot of the stuff about his death and the manipulation of Gale and the other dude whose name I forget. That strikes me that it's kind of a little bit too much, sort of him being a bit of a master manipulator of individuals, and which was never his métier, really.
So when you say, real quick, when you say the other two, who are you talking about? Are you talking about Raish or Hardin, Salvor Hardin?
Gale and Raish.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. The other thing is like I haven't watched this week's episode, but like, what the hell is going on with Salvor Hardin? And Gale, like, this is crazy. There is an individual in the Foundation series who bucks the psychohistory trend and has an enormous impact on. So the individuals in the books who have an impact are statistically predictable individuals. They're individuals who, according to like the great man history of or theory of history, which I don't personally subscribe to, but I imagine that informed Asimov a bit. The idea that in certain times of crises, like a small but non-zero percentage of the population have sufficient leadership skills and vision to make the necessary hard decisions and lead people out of it. And throughout the Foundation series, these individuals keep popping up, but they don't change history through. They don't buck psychohistory through the force of their will because they're crazy anomalies. They are predicted by psychohistory and they're part of it. And there's one individual in the books called the Mule, who is a mutant, who is not predicted by psychohistory and kind of fucks the whole thing up.
Oh yeah.
And what is really interesting about the series is that there appear to be, I haven't watched the most recent episode, but there appear to be 2 characters already who are like that. Like Salvor Hardin seems to be magic for some reason, and I don't understand why. And Gale also seems to be magic in a way that, like, the Foundation books are science fiction, but they do respect the physical principles of nature. They,
somewhat
effect follows cause. Time travel is functionally impossible. You can't travel. I mean, actually, they do. I think they do travel faster than light. But there's things about the Gale storyline which I'm like, hold on, you're like, at the moment it's being implied that she's literally magic, and I'm sort of like, I don't know. Like, so I guess what I'm saying is that it's diverging. I would say that it's inspired by Foundation rather than it is a televised Foundation. Like
100%.
It seems to be. Yeah, like it's a different story with different themes. Some of the same themes, but it's much more of a rollicking action adventure. So it's good. It's good in its own way, and it's different. I don't. The writing is there's still really clumsy, irritating writing. I've lost count of the number of scenes in which a plucky young woman sits at a table and sassily tells a load of old white men how wrong they are about things. Like, there's nothing wrong with that.
It's 2021. It's just, you gotta just roll with it.
I know, but it's sort of like, it seems to happen every episode, and the faces change slightly, but the message remains the same. And I don't know, like it just feels a bit ham-fisted, really.
Okay.
And it, I don't know, and the, like, there's a lot of characters just barking exposition at each other. Like when the bearded Australian dude and Salvor Hardin go off into space on the spaceship that they've had to commandeer by they've been forced to commandeer by the sort of quite savage people.
The Huntress.
Name.
Yeah.
Those guys. There's a bit where they're sat in the cockpit of the spaceship and they basically just bark exposition at each other. Like, it's like the tone of their voices makes it sound like it's a real conversation, but really it's just them telling the audience things, and it's so painfully obvious that that's what's happening. Like, that's like, I don't pop up into Discord and be like, "Hey Kai, yeah, I just feel like, from that very first time I met you on Discord, I just knew that, one day we'd be doing radio shows." And yeah, like, it's just not how people talk. They say things like, "Oh, how are you doing? Oh, I've got a bit of a cold today. I'm going to go eat a sandwich." Like, I don't know. Like, the characters don't just be. They just tell each other plot, which is so wooden.
That's sort of a trope for a reason, though. Like, it happens in so many sci-fi shows because, like, you kind of have to try to cram in stuff to get you. So you have, with high-minded science fiction, there's a lot of deep ideas that go into it, and the show is basically them trying to figure out ways to tell you those high-minded ideas while they run you from one pretty action shot to another.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, it's not all of them. Like Babylon 5, the writing of that was exceptional.
Yeah,
you don't have, sci-fi doesn't have to be written like that. And to be fair to Foundation, it's not all like that. There's one bit in particular, which I think is exceptional, and that's how they treat the Emperor and
Oh.
Empire, and the idea of. I've talked about this in a couple of other episodes, and in those episodes, I hadn't seen more. Sorry, in those episodes of Black Sky Legion, I hadn't seen more of the series, but now I've seen 7 episodes, and the Empire stuff just gets better and better.
Meanwhile,
And
that wasn't even in the book. Like the book had
No,
Empire
exactly,
as a concept of, you know, the Empire and yada yada yada, but it didn't have the Brother Day, Brother Dawn, Brother Dusk breakdown and whatever. That's separate.
exactly. And all the tension about the youngest, the contemporary Brother Dawn being slightly genetically anomalous, and the torment that causes him, and the crushing need for uniformity. Like it's really good. It's really good writing. It's a really human level dilemma that's on a scale of power that most of us can't comprehend. Like that's great. That's really, really good. I just don't think the quality of the writing extends to most of it. And I feel like 60% of it is either explosions or people just telling each other plot for the audience's benefit in a way which doesn't come across as natural. But it's still visually incredible, and I would watch it for the developing Empire storyline alone, because I find those characters really compelling, and the whole concept of a genetic lineage which is clones, all of which are completely replaceable and exist in 3 generations at a time. Absolutely fascinating, and like they're kind of all powerful, but at the same time, as individuals, they're nearly completely powerless, which is fascinating.
So you are going to love this week's episode because it has a whole thing about, like, I mean, this week's episode it had a little bit of everything, but it was very, very heavy on Brother Day and Demerzel, you know, at the Spire. And oh my God, some of the interplay there was fantastic. So, okay. So your rating is you've got nits to pick, but you highly recommend it nonetheless, is if I'm guessing.
If you're looking for new sci-fi in 2021, Foundation is a really, really good place to start.
Beautiful, beautiful. Wolf, hop in on this. Your thoughts on Foundation?
So, it's been way too long since I read anything on Foundation, and other than just the broad strokes ideas, I couldn't remember most of what the plot was. So the characters sort of barking exposition, like, I get why it's there. Like it needs to be there for the people who haven't, recently read the books. And I mean the books because they are hopping between them as we've alluded to a couple of times already in previous shows. But I find I'm not judging it on how well it tells that story. I'm judging it on how well it tells a story. And from that standpoint, I think it's brilliant.
Right.
The writing for the characters, aside from a couple little things here and there, spot on. The visuals are amazing. The audio work, I like. It's just there's a lot to this story that you have to know in order to unpack everything about it. The whole premise of the story being that, look, we're trying to avert another Dark Ages. How do we do it? What do we save? How do we save it? Because there's the talk about, well, what if the people who come across the Foundation after the fall, they don't use base 10 math. They use something different. So that was, they're sort of like, here's the task they got to do, but they've also got this almost existential conundrum of how do they do it in a way that has the most likelihood of success of being understood and usable to the people that come across it. And I find that to be just a level of thought for something that, it's like, okay, this is what we're going to do, how we're going to do it. Like, they could have just glanced right over that, and probably 90% of people watching wouldn't have known or cared
Right.
about that.
Yeah, that's right.
It's one of the central themes of the idea of foundation of, and it's a thing that Asimov does actually directly address in the books, is when you're given the task of deciding how to preserve sort of nature, like knowledge in society, the very first crucial step is, how do you decide what's worth saving? How do you pick? And maybe, you're from Iowa, or you're from Tokyo, or you're from London, or you're from Moscow. So the way you look at the world, and in this case, it's, maybe you're from Trantor or Synax or this planet or that planet, but it's the same analog of, how do you try to make a balanced and unsort of biased viewpoint on what parts of culture and knowledge are worth saving?
Just to address something Wolf said about exposition, you're absolutely right. The stuff about the wider, like the tenets of the universe, and the things about the setting that are really essential to understanding the plot. Like, you're right about that exposition being necessary. When I say characters telling each other exposition, I more mean there's a trope in writing called some people call it brother and sister telling each other their family history, and that's what I'm referring to. Like, there's a trope in writing where if you write a scene in which two siblings sit down and basically regale their family history to each other, it is a very clumsy way of telling the audience the family history, because siblings will never do that, because they both know it.
They already know.
Certainly.
And that's what I'm referring to with Foundation's writing. Like, there's quite a lot of scenes like that where characters, where the series the episode tries to make us care about a character by having two characters relate their history to each other, or whatever it is that underpins their relationship, in a way that they would never do in real life. The scene I was thinking of earlier, the example was when they're in the cockpit of the spaceship, is so and so says, like, oh, I used to live on a mining settlement down there, and then she says to him, like, something like, oh, but you could have never truly been happy because of what happened to your father, or something like that. I was just, oh god, the audience doesn't need to know this. It's not plot critical. He's going to be dead in 5 minutes.
Is
Nobody
he
cares.
though?
Like,
Is he though? Is he though? Is he though? You haven't seen this week's episode, bro.
Okay.
I'm just fucking with you. No, he's not. He's not.
Yeah, it just felt a bit like, oh god, it's not necessary. I can see what you're doing. You're trying to make us care about him so that his death has more meaning when it inevitably comes in a few minutes, but it's completely unnecessary, and it's not the way that human beings actually talk to each other. If you both know your shared history, you don't take the time to recount it to each other every 5 minutes.
Well, let's be honest. If we had a movie or a TV series or whatever that consisted of nothing but realistic conversations between people, that would not be a successful movie or television series.
I mean, he's not wrong.
You're not wrong. Yeah, absolutely. But it can be done well. Like, I watched Candyman, the 1984. I think it was 1984 last night. That film was critically panned. I watched it for the first time last night. Never seen it before. It's fucking brilliant. It's really, really well written. Like, it doesn't treat you like an idiot. Every scene is as long as it needs to be. It makes perfect sense. There's no unnecessary exposition, but you're given every fact you need. Like, good writing exists. It annoys me when series don't know, and especially when it's such a missed opportunity when they get so much else right with Foundation. Anyway, I'm monopolizing the airtime. I'll let you guys get on with it. Sorry.
So, yeah, it's just a situation of it. Yes, I like I said, I understand that you have nits to pick. I think it's brilliant. I love it for what it is, and I think that I love it. And you seem to like it more or less on balance, despite your qualms.
And I think things can be good but flawed, and you can like things despite things that annoy you about them.
Sure, 100%.
And I do like Foundation, and I'm looking forward to watching episode 8.
Right on. Very cool. All right, so Ark, do you have anything you want to throw in on Foundation? I was messaging you in the recording booth channel.
Oh, my bad. I'm in the middle of Outpost Rush. Yeah.
No
So
worries.
look, maybe I have the best kind of most unbiased perspective. I haven't read the book series. I've seen Steel just up to episode 2.
Mm.
But like, it's important to understand. Sylve's a writer. You know what I mean? That's what he does. He looks at things in a different way than I might look at it. I'm a marketing guy. I look at things for in a whole different light. For me, it looked like space Game of Thrones. I mean, I was hooked. I liked the cast. I thought the characters so far were sticky. In a sense, I was upset already whenever something happened to one of them. And of course,
Mhm.
I'm early in the series, and I understand this thing has a lot of twists and turns. So I'm excited to watch it, and I think to each his own in terms of how we rate one of these programs, because we're all looking and interested in different things. But ultimately, I think the biggest point is you want a sci-fi series in 2021, like this is a good place to start.
Right on.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Right on. Well said. All right. So, jumping from that, I just want to real quick point out and a huge shout out. I see some people from we got some Soul Citizens in the chat live watching. I think I saw DK. I'm scrolling through all of the people here, but I spent last Sunday night after the show. I went over and hung out with the Soul Citizens crowd, and yeah, we did some charity stream thing where we played like scary games for like I don't know charity, and we played this game on Steam called Devour. So right off the bat, the premise of the game is you're a cult member, okay, and you have to go into this haunted house and collect goats so that you can sacrifice them by setting them on fire at this altar in the backyard. And there's this demon lady in
As
the
you
house
do.
that is not down with that plan because I don't know, she's fond of goats. The premise is just wacky as shit. But the game was fun and funny and like full of jump scare type shit. And there's demons in the house. You gotta burn them up with your ultraviolet flashlight and whatnot. It was
Another one of those multiplayer horror games.
yes, it was exactly one of those, and that's why we did it for Halloween for the charity stream. And it was
That's a new genre of video game that I think
it
is really
is.
cool.
It's interesting. It's definitely
Yeah.
interesting. I mean, I there's a lot of them where it's like, oh, you gotta go into this house and whatever. Like, I'm not so much down with the premise of like I'm a cult member who's trying to sacrifice goats, but like, all right, whatever. You know, it's
What better use for a VR headset that you spent however many hundreds of dollars for, just to get your friends to join in and scream madly because, well, one of them is probably just wet themselves.
it's some funny stuff. You do have fun with it. So hell yeah, it's good stuff. I just got a friend request from a SOUVARINE. SOUVARINE, did you just join the server?
Yep.
All right, so I think I'm gonna
There's
need to send.
literally nobody in. There was nobody in. Where am I? Restless Shore, and I was like, this place is dead.
Right
It
on.
sucks. I'm out of here.
All right, so
Dude, Saturday night.
all right,
Go ahead. I'll say it later.
send an invite. No, go ahead, say it.
No, I was just gonna say Saturday night. Freaking no one. I couldn't get 20-30 minutes in the freaking queue for Outpost Rush. I was like,
On the
bruh.
other server.
Meanwhile,
Yeah, the other server. I was like,
meanwhile, on this server, you click Q for Outpost Rush, and 90 seconds later, you're fighting.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, I'm in the company. Sorted.
Beautiful, beautiful. So,
Make him an officer.
take a look at the map, Suv. How does that map look?
Oh, it's so green. Oh, it's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. All right, so
Nice.
quality
Windswood
noise.
is green again. Sweet.
Windsward
Oh,
and
that's so good.
Everfall, baby.
Oh, yeah, that's really good.
All right, so I gotta throw in one last little thing I just want to throw out that game was fun. The event was fun, silly, stupid. If you want to have some silly, stupid fun, go check out Devour, and you too can murder goats for reasons. Um, good stuff.
We should record that as a sting.
Yes, 100%. So with regard to other things, other just miscellaneous things before we hop to the meat and potatoes. Finch came out on Friday. So after I watched Foundation, and I've seen Foundation twice this week's episode already. That's how good it is. But after I watched Foundation, I watched Finch. Finch is on Apple TV Plus. It stars Tom Hanks as a man who is living past the apocalypse. There's a whole solar flare apocalypse type dealy that happens. And it's him and his dog and his pet robot that he made go on a road trip. That's what you can tell just from the premise, from the trailers and whatnot. I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm going to kind of just leave it at that. I will say, beautiful story, super well done. I could watch Tom Hanks read the phone book. I just love Tom Hanks in everything. Super, super good. So, yeah. I sent you an invite on accident there. Sorry, Ark. I was trying to get Suv into the company, and I was hitting buttons like an idiot. So, if you have not checked it out, check it out. That takes us to New World. Holy shit, has it been a week for New World. Why don't we start, because he's been pretty quiet through all of this, why don't we start with Ark talking about patch 10, like 1.0.5, and life on Pluto a little bit, and you guys hop in. I'm going to go grab something real quick, and I'll be right back.
Yeah, so there's a lot to talk about in the patch. I think I'll break it down to just talking about the outpost rush bits and bobs, since that's what I've played the most of. Look, bottom line is that the devs have listened to everything that was a problem, right, for the most part, and they fixed it. They had some little bug where dudes could like get out of the fort before the timer ended. They fixed it. It was just a cheat. No one liked it. People did it anyway because players are players. They do what they do. But they fixed it. There was an issue where one of the gems or one of the resiliency mechanisms, instead of it being just critical resiliency, it was all damage resiliency, which made the game unplayable. Or dudes, you have 10 guys beating on one dude and you didn't even see his health bar move. They fixed it. You can't do that anymore. Now the tactics have changed dramatically, and it's meaningful to play a ranged build. It's still not as meaningful as like a great axe and hammer build, but it's more meaningful, and you can do it, and you can get mid board scores and be a supportive teammate. So they fixed that.
Could you?
It's just number. Go ahead.
Just quickly, would you mind? I'm a bit rusty on this, and I don't understand the dynamics very well. Would you be able to give me the cliff notes, and I guess the listeners, of what has changed that has made ranged builds more viable?
Well, the problem is everyone was stacking resiliency, right? There's all MMO PvP games, for the most part, they have PvE and PvP armor, and the PvP armor typically means that you it's against critical hits, because everyone's going to try to do combos that have a burst.
Yeah.
And that burst, it comes from critical hits, essentially.
Yeah.
And the problem is the resiliency, instead of just doing that, it was blocking all damage.
Right.
So,
I see. Yeah. Wow.
So
Okay.
so you couldn't do anything. So if you're a ranged build where if you're a musket user, it requires headshots and critical hits to be able to do damage. Well, you would be popping headshots off on a guy, and you wouldn't even see his bar move.
Yeah.
Even that,
That's a bit much.
you'd have melee guys, just swinging with axes, 10, 12 of them on one person, and the bar doesn't move. And if they have a heal staff, that person basically just holds up a quarter or half of the players in one of the 40-player events, and while their team is going around and doing the things necessary to gain points.
Mm-hmm.
So they fixed all this. Now that armor's still good because you still want to have that crit protection, but it's not game breaking. And those are the things that you have to fix, because Outpost Rush is probably one of the more fun features at end game one can do, and it was just totally broken before this patch. I don't want to take up the whole space, but I'll do I'll try to focus just mainly on the Outpost Rush bit. You now have a game that's a lot more fun to play. It's a lot more competitive, and you don't have to be a heavy armor, melee dude to play it and be competitive.
In addition to that, as you said, you've focused mainly on the Outpost Rush stuff for your commentary. They the resilience was an open world thing that they fixed, so that's huge for everything. In addition to that, they by 60% lowered the costs for respecking your attributes in gold. They by like 70% lowered the cost for respecking your weapon skills. They made a whole
An Azoth.
Yes, an Azoth. They made a whole lot of changes here, there, and everywhere to stuff where it's like, this was broken, that was broken, this didn't work quite right, that didn't work quite right, this could be exploited, that could be exploited. They banned so many players there were multiple gold dupes that they found out about. That's why they had to freeze the market. They brought the market back up, and they banned a shit ton of players. Then the players that they banned were using the family pass or whatever through Steam to sort of get around it, and so they turned that off. So I have 3 alts, none of which are bots, none of which are used for cheating purposes, all of which are basically storage and whatever. And so I bought the game 3 more times. But it is what it is. I'm glad that they did that. There was a lot of gold that was stacked at the very beginning of the game. So you could, and people were doing speed runs to demonstrate, to show, you could, in the first 30 minutes of the game, do enough of the starter quest, the easy starter quest, to get 640 some odd gold. And then you would just transfer that to another character to hold it, and then you would run the first 30 minutes. So you could, in 30 minutes, generate 600 gold, 600 gold, 600 gold, 600 gold, and you just keep deleting the account and go over and go over and go over after you transfer that money to another person. And they saw that. They took the gold out of those first 30 minutes, most of it, and moved it like into the 8 hours into the game process. They did a bunch of stuff, like I said, killing that family thing. It kills the unlimited free alts. They set it to where you can't spam general chat when you first create a character. You can't trade with people until you're after level 10 and have 72 hours in on the game. You can't. They did a lot of things to fix bots, to fix gold duping. So by the number of people complaining on Twitter that they got banned, it's hilarious, because it's like, yeah, you guys were a bunch of cheaters, and I'm glad that they kicked your ass. Yeah. Start over and do it right this time.
Made the game better.
Yeah. So
it's worth saying that the measures with regard to limiting how much you can communicate and trade in the early game, they're not silver bullets for botting and gold farming. It's designed to increase the resistance to it, to make it that much more of a ball ache to be a gold farmer, to hopefully dissuade more people from doing it. Like it's not a hard and fast fix, and this is more for the listeners than you, Kai, because obviously you already know this. But like, I guess the point is that these aren't silver bullets for these issues. It's about the devs making what tweaks they can after thinking about it to try and make certain nefarious behavior more difficult.
100%. 100%. In addition to that, though, they did take other steps to go after there were a bunch of iron bots that were just farming iron. There were a bunch of fishing bots, and they've gone after them, and you can tell that they have had great success in taking tons of all of those out. So like, I
Yeah, you can
again,
actually find iron, or find a whole bunch of players that are out mining iron now that they
Yeah.
can all go get iron, which is what I'm doing right now. And
I'm just very, very gratified to see the rapidity and the comprehensiveness of the way New World is looking at the problems that they have and actually dealing with them. Unlike some other companies who don't mention it for several years, then will spend a solid year telling you, "Oh, you think you want this, but you don't," and then no, ship interiors would be worth nothing. It's whatever. Followed
Yeah,
by
hey, just
years of, hey, we're gonna do it, but it's really hard. I don't know how we're gonna do it. What, Ark? You had something?
yeah, just a quick point. So you and I were talking a little bit about the about whether it's a good or bad thing that they have they've reduced the cost for attributes, which was 500 and at level 60 down to 200,
Yeah.
and then the Azoth. I think part of the problem is that you thought that maybe this would be a cause for people to just keep on sort of chasing the meta. Here's
Yeah.
the thing, though. Here's the thing. Here's why I think it's not going to be that. When it's difficult to respec or do something, players don't want to make mistakes. The average player, they want
Mm-hmm.
to watch their favorite YouTuber. They don't want to make mistakes because they can't afford. They don't sit out here. They don't have three characters and spend all day mining and fishing A's off and making gold. They don't want to make mistakes, and they don't want they want to be able to have something that's playable. The thing is, when you lower all that stuff, you are encouraged to try things out because it doesn't cost much. You try a whole bunch out of the weapon switching before you get to level 11, but none of the weapons really become competitive until about level 16. And at that
Yeah.
point, it costs Azoth. And I promise you, as much Azoth as we get, if you travel around a lot, this world's big, you're going to be Azoth starved at one point or another. So dropping
Yeah.
that gold down, it supports testing things out, trying new things. Also, in our group, we have a lot of our company as they leveled, they like to roll with the heal staff. So when five of us get together, we got three DPS guys who all want to use a heal staff in one other hand, but you can't do that, right? You need to have some
Yeah.
DPS. It's easy now if we know we're gonna have a weekend of fun dungeon running. A couple of guys now for cheap can just, I mean, cheaper than what it costs to repair your gear, which I'm sure we'll talk about that at some point tonight.
oof.
You can just switch your attributes completely, and all of a sudden, drop your life staff, pick up a fire stick and a gauntlet, and now you're doing massive DPS just by switching your intellect, and that costs you probably 50 A's off and 200 gold to do that for the weekend, which you're going to get all back in those dungeons in spades. So it's opened up opportunities for people to try new things, do new things, which is great because I'm so tired of seeing the same builds running around, because people had invested so much time in them that they just, in my mind at least, they just didn't want to spec out of it because they just don't want to. They don't have the gold or Azoth to try new things.
That's true. Yeah. My reticence about I in general with games, I normally, this happened with Elite Dangerous as well. Whenever there was an immersion versus gameplay argument, I would normally veer on the side of immersion. Like I'm normally on the side of making things like increasing commitment, making things about trade-offs, trying to make things less arcadey, trying to make things more plausible. I generally go on the side of that in nearly everything.
So
And
stuff like there's no way you could have a Corvette and what do you call it?
exactly
Um,
an Imperial
cutter, yeah, because
Yeah,
why would
stuff
both
like that.
teams love you? Yeah.
Exactly. Stuff like with that example, I was in favour of the superpower allegiance being a trade-off. You've got to choose one. You can get up to a certain rank with both, but you can only get up to the top rank with one. And I guess with the New World thing, I want to be known as the musket guy. I want to be known as that musket guy who's good at X but shit at Y. And if you want a good leather piece of armor, go to him. But he'll come to you to buy. He'll come to you to buy his stone stuff because he's crap at that, and he doesn't make furniture, so he'll buy that off the market and all that. So I kind of like the idea of players having their own identity and committing to their own role in the world. And my concern with the lowering of the respec cost is that players would just respec into whatever they want all the time, and and nobody would have a particularly clearly defined identity, and it would erode the idea of commitment that New World does. Like, one of the reasons I like New World is that it's quite a it's not an arcadey game. Like, there's quite a lot of commitment to things, like the fact that fast travel uses Azoth, which is a rare commodity, and loads of different ways. The fact that the combat is quite tactical and weighty, and it's got a stamina economy that you've got to be careful about, and all that kind of thing. And I was just a little bit. I didn't want to go down the route of making everything easier, lowering the barriers to entry for everything so that nothing had any consequence or meaning. But what you've just explained actually makes a ton of sense, in that if you make it too prohibitive to change, people just stick with the meta and don't experiment, and then you just see too many people running around in heavy armor and great axes. So, like, I think you are right, and it is probably the right balance to let people experiment so they can settle into different roles, and also, as you say, enjoy more content, because being able to be flexible and provide a different role in a party to what you're used to is better for everybody, I guess.
Yeah, and you have to understand that also the way the game mechanics are. Like, people, like, for example, I played WoW. I'm sure this is true of many MMO players. You had one character that was a tank. Maybe you had another one that was a healer. Maybe you had another one that was, a magic user. You can't do that in this game if you want to retain, any kind of connection to your company, your friends, or anything like that. You got one character.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to be, if you want players to play longer, you got to give them more options to play with, I think. I'm one of those people. I mean, I've tried other than heals, I've tried every combo, that almost you can do. But the other big thing about this game, which is really great, is it's not, look, if you play WoW, SWOT or any of those games, it's a rotation and cooldown. Stay out of red things, hit this rotation, keep your cooldowns off, and that's how you play. This game, you can watch your favorite YouTuber, you can put the gear he says to get, you can spend all day getting it, you can do, the combos that he describes, but the combos require skill and repetition to gain that skill. As you know, with the musket, I mean, you're not just gonna put some YouTuber's build in and have identical build. You're still gonna be shit with that musket until you learn how to land shots, move, stay, evade, all those different things. So I think that's the unique part about this game. You do have to commit an inordinate amount of time to get really good at something in this game.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
they've
go ahead.
Also, am I right in thinking that they've made the markets global now?
Not yet,
Not
but
yet.
they're going to.
No.
They are in the process of doing that. That's coming. There is a big November update. There has been multiple data mines of stuff, including stuff for mounts, including a bunch of new dungeons, 2 new zones, several new weapons, lots and lots and lots of stuff. So what we're expecting is end of November, early December. For sure, they've already publicly stated in November there's going to be a big an additional update, whatever, that is going to have more fixes. More shit that they needed to get sorted. Also, it is very highly suspected that November, December, there's going to be a content update. So we think that early November, mid-November, whatever, is going to be the fix update, probably 10.06. 10.07 will probably it might be 10.07 or it might be 10.1, and that is a new zones, new dungeons, new weapons, new stuffs. The mount stuff that was data mined, it was talking about horse saddle, horse bridle, horse food, but they didn't
really
actually show horses. So I think that stuff that they're starting to preload to get in, I don't think we're going to get horses, mounts soon. I think that's more maybe 2 or 3 content patches down the road when the map is larger and there's sort of more call for it. I think as it stands now, it's pretty well balanced. so many content creators have been talking about it and saying like, New World on the launch day it was 900,000 and now it's down to 300 and some odd thousand daily users. And my response is, hey asshole, 300 and some odd thousand daily users? Yeah, that's pretty fucking great. I can't tell you how many other games out there would kill to have those numbers, to kill to have that many daily users. And again, I keep saying this because I feel like I have to, because I think people forget. This is Amazon we're talking about. Keep in mind how many, Amazon Prime members there were at start. At start, it was like, wait, you want me to pay you money up front now? And the idea is that down the road, you'll deliver me stuff 2 days for free or cheaper or give me a discount. No, thanks. Now, you can't swing a dead cat without hitting 10 different people that are Amazon Prime members. This is what they do. They start small if they have to, but they just grow it and grow it and grow it, and they keep pouring money in until they dominate the market. If you don't believe it, check back with me in a year. We'll have a conversation about this. This game is going all the way. So, for those of you who are interested now from the company, I should point out, we were on the Satara server. We were Green Marauder faction on Satara. The Satara server had, I'm not going to get into too much of the details, but it had some major drama llama shit happen with the two largest Green, Marauder factions. In one of them, the two guys that ran it, that were at the top, they literally just emptied out the coffers and said, we're out, and left the server, went elsewhere, and just, screwed everybody over. And that company sort of imploded. The other one, there was apparently some big streamer dude. This is all secondhand information. I don't, whatever. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. This is what I was told. Some big green streamer who ran one of the factions that they, whatever, he did some kind of a treachery thing and switched over to purple and like threw a war on purpose, and so that purple would, I guess, get their territory or whatever. And it was just a whole, and I'm sure it's great for his numbers. I'm sure people are, controversy, whatever, gets people to like go tune in, whether it's for, oh, this is amazing, or, oh, I hate you. Either way, people come, so whatever. So as a result, basically Green as a faction imploded on the Satara server. Purple started taking over. Well, they were already dominant, let's be honest, but they just took over everything.
They were unimpeded at that point.
They then more and more purples were transferring in, and more greens and yellows were getting the hell out of Dodge. And as a result, it just triggered a sort of situation that made the server unfun for a lot of people, all of our people. And I had multiple people complaining to me like, hey, I love the game, but this server is fucking bumming me out. So I did some research. We looked around and we landed on Pluto as a server. So it's still US East Coast, so it's the same server grouping. And it's the Pluto server, which is on the Arcadia Tau server group on US East. Everyone, gets a free server transfer token, one free. You just go into the store. So from the game, you hit escape. It brings up the tab at the top. One of the tabs is store. Then you you click it. You open up under your purchase options. You can get skins, you can get dyes, you can get whatever, emotes. And one of them is server transfer. You click on that. I think it's maybe paid server transfer, it says. But when you click on it, it says, hey, you get one free. So everybody got a free server transfer. They're about to open it up for everyone. And it's going to be like they've said it's going to be $5 for server transfers. So everybody, though, that
Didn't
was
they also allude to giving out another free transfer token at some point?
Soon, probably. That was a thing that was said by one of the devs on their forums that they're probably going to do a second round of free. But I mean, I can't. It hasn't been officially announced yet, so I can't say it yet. But probably. So all of us though that were on Satara from day one, we moved to Pluto server, and I keep hearing from people how much happier they are over here. It's just so number one. So number two, also keep in mind they had to open up a whole mess of extra servers for the day one flood because week one people were complaining because they were sitting in queues for hours and hours and hours and hours. So when they did that, they said flat out, we're opening up these servers now, and we'll look in a month or two when, the fad dies out and then it pares down to a more reasonable number of people, and then we'll merge servers in, and then as the game grows, we'll slowly and organically add servers as more and more people sort of come back, because that's what happens. You get 1 million people day one of the new thing, because it's just people want to see the new, and then it dies down in about a month or so down to, okay, it's 300,000. And then they put out a patch, and maybe that 300,000 bumps up to, 350, 375. And then they put out another patch, and that 375 becomes 450, and another, and then over and over, like slowly, organically, it grows, but not, we're going to jump 900% in 1 week. That's a thing that they had to create servers for, but now you're going to have to pair those in. You're going to have to fold those in. But Satara is looking like it might be one of those servers that gets folded elsewhere, whereas Pluto, very, very, very strong server, very good numbers. I very much doubt that this server will get folded into anything. So it'll be.
We want to talk about queue times.
Go for it.
So last night I jumped on at the peak of primetime Saturday night. I spent a grand total of 12 minutes in queue.
That's beautiful.
Server's full, but the people are coming in and out of the server naturally with, okay, I'm done, I'm gonna log off for the night, blah, blah, blah. Having a server that has a queue, we don't want anyone to spend, 3 hours in a queue. Neither does Amazon, because they gave us all these servers to do it. But having a server that is basically constantly full is good, because as you run around in the world, there's always people to see. So if you want to do PvP, there's always people to PvP with. And like Ark was saying, you don't have to wait long to do an outpost rush, because there's other people that want to do an outpost rush, and because the people are there, you can do them relatively, quickly in those queues too.
I've queued for Outpost Rush. I've queued for Outpost Rush on this server half a dozen times, and every last, or maybe a dozen times, every last one of those, it's popped within like 90 seconds. When I would queue for Outpost Rush on Satara, bro, it could be half an hour. It could be 10 minutes. It could be 40 minutes, like you didn't know. Outpost Rush pops constantly, which means that unlike Satara, where if you get in at the right time, you wait 10 minutes because that means a match is about to end. But if you get in at the wrong time, you're waiting 40 minutes because you got to wait for the next one. Whereas over here, you wait 90 seconds and you're in, which means there's multiple queues of Outpost Rush that are all going at once. And that's a beautiful thing.
The population of this server feels great. Like the cities feel more developed. Like I didn't realize until I didn't realize until the last couple of days how much Satara had emptied out, and the atmosphere of this server is really, really good. It's really cool. Everything's really developed. There are loads of, like, I didn't realize until now how much of a difference population makes to MMOs.
Mm-hmm. Ark.
Yeah, I mean, similar to Wolf, I was in a queue of 5 people, peak hours, East Coast time last night, and I was in within minutes. So I wrote a kind of a big write up on our team chat, just my kind of experiences between the two of these. I said the Satara towns looked a little bit more like medieval, if you will, Dark Ages, and then you come, as soon as I came in, like all these buildings are sitting here, and it was a lot more kind of a Renaissance period. It just looks cooler. All the the aesthetics, a lot more life, a lot more stuff kind of to do. So
yeah,
absolutely happy with the decision. Yeah,
How are you
And
feeling?
for me, someone who plays Outpost Rush, it's just I can get on all the time and do what I need to do.
How are you feeling, Ark, about sort of the rate at which? I mean, obviously, there's a lot of stuff to fix. Brand new MMO, there's always a ton of stuff to fix, but the rate and the sort of competency with which Amazon AGS, Amazon Game Studio, is just hitting all of this stuff in New World.
Well, look, man, a lot of us in this group are old school gamers. I was making a funny comment to Suv the other day that I'm like I've owned and bought every gaming system that's ever been out. And I've played MMOs from pretty much more WoW all the way up to where I'm at. And we all have been calling like, man, if only they fix this, or man, they really have to do this. They have to, and most of those things they're doing. Which means they have a good sense of what the community needs. They have a good sense of the things that are most likely to break their game and stop the stickiness that is New World that makes us all keep coming back. And the funny thing is even when all those things are broke, we are still playing the game and doing the thing we like to do. So
Yeah.
I think they have a good idea of what needs to happen to make things right. It will be interesting to see how they fix a few of these other little weird bugs that are pretty easy. It'll be interesting to see their take on the economy and how it continues to, they have they think it's in a good place and they want to let it go for a little bit, which is fine. They know more than we do, but they're sharing us charts that most companies would never do. They're
And
they're showing
detailed
us
metrics.
data.
Yeah.
That's right. So it's going to be interesting. I would like to, again, these last couple patches really went leaps forward in terms of not getting rid of a meta, but making all the other builds feel stronger without nerfing the ones that were already strong.
Okay.
And that is the magic, because no one wants to invest time and energy in a character and then feel weaker because of some patch just came out. The other ones feel stronger. People who were just mindlessly standing in one spot, it's not that their character got weaker. It's just like they fixed an obviously bug, and now they have to play the game a little bit more. So it's even more exciting for those players. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking to see that as they introduce new weapons, as they introduce new types of combat, that they start looking at some of these little tiny things, like you and I talked about this earlier today. An easy one that they should fix. And we'll call it out now, right? Maybe they're listening. Maybe listen to this show. Maybe someone's here. But the Baron in Outpost Rush, for everyone who doesn't know, in Outpost Rush, one of the tactics is there's a PvE boss, and if you can kill the PvE boss, it will lock the other team's score for 3 minutes. So it's a very strategic move to kill that boss whenever it's up. It spawns every 10 minutes. The problem right now is whoever gets the last hit on that boss it gets the cap. So you could have your team over there doing all the work, burning this boss, and this boss is very much like a dungeon-style boss. Takes some time. And then some asshole sitting up on a rock with a musket can just get the last hit. If they change that and they move it to the team who puts out the most damage in a given session of it being up, and they get the hit, then they will have fixed another major sort of problem with this game, and I think they will. So we'll use that as maybe a timestamp. Let's remember this and let's come back to it if they do. But little things like that are where they need to focus on.
It's interesting that you jumped into that unasked, because I was about to ask you and go around and start asking everybody. So I asked you what you thought about 10.0 or 1.0.5 and where they're at. The next question I was going to ask is, if you could have one thing to add into it, what would it be? So I'm going to take that as your one thing. And now,
go ahead, do it.
Now moving on to Suv. Suv, what is your feelings in general on 1.0.5, on their speed and responsiveness and comprehensiveness of handling things? And if you could add one thing to the game, what would it be? Go.
Okay, so my feeling of how the game has developed up until this patch can basically be so my analogy is, imagine I am a 38-year-old woman who's been married to a like an aging, uncaring sort of fairly
Painting a
disinterested
picture right
man
here.
for the last 20 years.
Jesus Christ!
who-
Show me on the doll where
completely-
Frontier hurt you.
who completely ignores you, never ever lets you do anything, is completely belittles you all the time, gaslights you, tells you that you're says things to you, and then when you bring them up later, pretends they've never said them. I feel like I've now ditched that person, gone onto a load of dating sites, met somebody amazing, and now I just spend 4 nights a week being taken to incredible restaurants and entertained by a really lovely man. Like that. That's
Jesus.
literally. So the only MMO I've ever played apart from this is I mean I've tried all the main ones, and they're like free to play bits just to see what they were like, and I didn't like any of them. The only other one that I've played in any big way, apart from Star Citizen, obviously, but that's an alpha, so it doesn't really count. But like,
Right.
Is Elite Dangerous, and the Elite Dangerous, you would raise enormous issues with the game that everybody recognised from the get-go that would persist for years, literally years. Like some of my friends have children who are older than who are younger than the problems with power play. Like. It is insane how long some of the problems with that game persist, and they're recognised that people raise them. Like, oh, you've made this feature called Power Play. By the way, it's broken because of this. And where's the collapse mechanic that you literally said you were going to put in, and that gives meaning to the entire thing, and the absence of which renders completely meaningless? They acknowledged problems, and then conspicuously failed to even recognise that they'd acknowledged them. They not only failed to fix them, they also pretended they'd never acknowledged them and pretended you'd never raised it for literally years, like most of a decade. Oof. And now I'm playing a game where people will raise something, and then like within a day, within hours, there's a patch out. Like somebody will discover a bug and it'll be really annoying. Although the only bugs that I've discovered in my 160 hours have been little UI ones. But other people who I'm sure are speaking in good faith have found bugs that are important to them and have raised them. And then within a day, literally within a day, they've been fixing some of this shit with hot fixes. And they've been putting out a patch every single week. And that patch the patch notes are bloody long, and it's full of, oh yeah, this really big issue that you've talked about as being a structural problem. Not only are we acknowledging it, we've also fixed it in this way. This may have unintended side effects. We'll continue to monitor it, but it is important to us. And you fucking believe them because they are actually fixing things. Like people keep, because Amazon are a lovely big juicy target to throw criticism at. People keep leveling criticisms at the game, which have some of which have merit. And AGS, who are not the same as Amazon, the conglomerate, they are a small group of serious professionals, are like it just seems like they're taking everything on board. They're responding to as much as they can on the forums. The patch notes show that they've clearly thought about the things that people are raising, and that the solutions they're coming up with for some of these problems are really good. They're really good and really original and really interesting. I wouldn't have thought of them. It's amazing. It's like I really trust these guys. I really trust that they take you seriously. They respect you. They don't treat us like a load of ADHD teenagers to be talked down to, condescended, and lied to. They've made a game they care about. They are listening to our feedback. They want it to be the best it can be, and they will put out a patch every single week until it's as good as that. And the fact that they have not talking, we know because of all these data leaks that there are big new content things on the horizon. The stuff that Content Locus will hoover up, like the Void Gauntlet or what's it called, Brimstone Sands or whatever. Great, new zones, new weapons. Stuff that if they wanted to, they could really throw out there to get some cheap clicks and some cheap attention. But they're not. They haven't mentioned any of that. They've literally just been nose to the grindstone, fix shit, make sure that they address all these concerns, make sure everything works, and not just MVP works, like works in a way that people are enthusiastic about before they move on to the next thing. And it's great. I'm done gushing. It's brilliant. This game is fantastic.
So this segment of the show is entitled "How SOUVARINE Got His Groove Back." You go, girl. You'll find love again. Yeah, that was wow. That was wow. And Souvarine, I can't let you go without saying, what would you add if you could add one thing? If you could say like, oh man, I hope this is coming soon in the things that we want to happen. What would you?
Okay, yeah. Well, mine's a proper wish list thing because nobody from AGS has talked about it. But I think the character creator in this game is really rudimentary. It does the job. It's fine. I like my avatar. But compared to Elder Scrolls Online, for example, it's pretty crap. And compared to most other online games, actually, it's pretty rudimentary. And I would love early next year for them to be like, do you know what? Our character creator was MVP, but because we're a responsible studio, we don't sit on MVP. We actually iterate on it. And now you've got character creator 2.0, and there's been a barb added to every single settlement where you can change your hairstyle and change your beard, and you can get tattoos, and you can change your character's body shape. You can make them more muscular. You can make them more fat. You can make them skinnier. You can change their height slightly. You can
Whoa!
you can choose your stance. You can decide whether your stance is going to be more masculine or more feminine on a slider. I would love to see all that stuff.
You can make
really,
them
really cool.
fatter, more feminine, and taller. What kind of barbershops do you go to? Yeah,
I don't necessarily mean those things in the barbershops, but like in the character creator.
You will be.
When I was sort of creating my character to begin with, it was one of those areas that I just thought, like, yeah, okay, this is not one of the areas they are completely revolutionizing the industry in.
Well, Suv,
there are many that have done a really good job, but that one, it just feels a little bit like it could be made better.
Souvarine, you will be very, very happy to know that they have, in fact, already addressed that and said, yeah, we know the character creator is very basic. We're going to add a lot of stuff to that. It's coming in the future. So, yes.
This is amazing. That's so good.
Wolf.
Awesome. When did they say that?
They said that before launch, actually. It was one of the things that they're like, yeah, that's a thing that we're putting on the list of stuff to get to. And they're like, we're going to deal with launch. We're going to deal with the inevitable 1,000,001 pop-up things that we have to address. And then we will be getting to that. They said they're going to do a big content release kind of thing November, so maybe the one in November or the one with all the leaked stuff from December, who knows, but they have publicly stated that they know that people need more options on the looks. So Wolf, awesome. 1.05 Pluto, your feelings, and what one thing would you add?
I absolutely love how more lively this server is. I also like how it at least from talking with a couple of people on the Discord here, the Discord for Pluto itself, there seems to be some overarching, like, this is how we're controlling the server, this is how we want things to be, and if we need to do something, we will take care of it, and work together, blah, blah, blah. So there's a lot more people. There seems to be a lot more direction and camaraderie that can be easily had. I can go to just, like, I got a random elite mission and nobody was on. It's like, well, maybe I'll be able to find some group of randos just to jump into a group with and we can knock out this elite mission. I get there and there's already a group there doing it. And they're just doing it over and over again because they can. So I just jump in, got my mission, jumped out, went on to do whatever it was I was doing. And I've been able to consistently do that. Granted, it also means that during, certain times, like right now, I'm having lots of trouble finding iron, not because there's bots, but because there's 19 other people running around this one area that I'm in. It's like, all right, I got to go to another area.
Right.
Okay, there's less people here. I can do it here. That's a problem that is solvable, and I like it. Something that I would add to the game, I've been doing nothing but side quests just to clear them off the board. Great little bits of storyline that people have spent a lot of time writing. I am a little tired of the repetitiveness of go here and kill X number of things. Go here and loot this number of boxes. Like, I want different things to do. Just for spicing it up a bit.
So, can I make an observation? And I want to get your feelings on this. I'm not negating what you're saying. I hear you, and I agree with you. However, That is an actual complaint that was made ad nauseum about Vanilla WoW. And then in Burning Crusade, they had some sort of new mission types that opened up. That is a complaint that was made ad nauseum about Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn. And then they added, with Heaven's Word, they added new mission types that cleared that up. I think that this is a symptom of MMO 1.0 launch. You end up with reskins of the same sort of dozen mission types in the different cities. And let's be honest, this game, the spice, the interesting thing isn't the side quests. The dungeons have spice and interesting mechanics and new stuff and whatever that are interesting. And the realm v realm PvP, all of the, the spice comes from Outpost Rush, from wars, from invasions, from open world PvP, from whatever. But I agree with you, and I think that we will see, as content patches continue to come out, we will see that spice up a whole lot more.
Can I just comment on that as well?
Go ahead.
I feel a little bit like Ark said a few episodes ago that he said that the quests might be repetitive, and you, every single quest you do, is going to be kill 10 lads and loot 5 chests. But the fact that doing the looting and killing the lads is so satisfying makes it okay. And I totally agree with that. Like, whereas those things might have been boring in previous games, the act of going to kill 10 lost in a settlement, yes, you've done it 100 times, but it's so damn satisfying. The combat is so good. But one thing I think is a casualty of this is the writing, because people incorrectly say that New World has no narrative, which is it's just completely wrong. It's completely incorrect. It's got tons. But if you're doing quests and you know that the person is going to say go and kill 10 lads and loot 5 chests, you don't pay attention to what they say, because the meat of it, it's going to be, you know what it's going to be. So I think that quite a lot of good writing is being completely ignored by players, and it's a real shame, because actually the writing of this game is better than people give it credit for. There's quite a lot of humor to it. There's quite a lot of detail about the setting if you want to delve into that. The characters are reasonably believable. They're undermined by the fact that they don't move. They've got no personality. They just wave their. Well, I'm kind of contradicting myself there. What I mean is they've got no. They're just static mission givers who wave their arms about. They don't have any kind of inner life in the game. They don't walk around or go to the pub or anything. They just stand there. But actually, but they're quite well written, and I feel like I, and probably other players as well, if they're anything like me, are glossing over this a little bit because of the repetitive nature of the quests. And I really hope that we get some much better and more interesting PvE quest formats, because it will start to give that writing much more opportunity to shine. Simply because if you go to a quest giver and you don't know what they're going to get you to do, you listen to what they say.
Yes.
If you've got no idea what they're going to get you to do, and it could be go and do a jumping puzzle, or go and solve a logic puzzle, or go and explore a maze, or go and fight a boss, or innumerable things that video games have got us to do over the last 30 years. If you literally don't know what task you're going to be given, you will listen to what the quest giver says. You will.
So,
and I feel I'm hopeful for this PvE, the PvE changes that you talk about, because I think that the writers will be given a lot more chance to shine.
So an example of that, a perfect example of that is, yes, we know that in every county that you go to, every territory, you're going to get one repeat mission giver at least that sends you off and says, go to these 3 places and check this, go to these 3 places and check that, go to these 3 places and check this. Sends you out to 3 places, come back, 3 places, come back, 3 places, come back. Now for WOODWARD, it was go and take soil samples at all of these farms. We need to see what happened, what's going on with the corruption, what's going on, blah, blah, blah. And that one was interesting. I thought, okay, that's whatever. But it didn't really grab me. It was just like, oh, okay, I'm getting soil samples at these farms because he's trying to look into the corruption, whatever. The ones that I just did today in Everfall, that same sort of loop, but it's do it, back. It was going to all of those towers that are littered everywhere around Everfall. And it's this guy who's looking at taking, like, oh, you have to go up here and get these, read off of this plaque or off of this whatever and bring me back the data because it's overrun by ancients and, you know, it's full of skeletons and we can't get there safely. I can't get there. Bring me back the data. And he's like, he's lining up all these star charts of like, oh, okay, these 3 are oriented towards Cygnus, and these 3 are oriented towards, you know, Alpha Centauri. These 3 are orientated towards this or that and the other. And the end of the whole thing, you know, it where it ends is it's really like a neat story of like all of these, like, okay, it's kind of like the Mayas, Incas, you know, Egyptian, this ancient culture who had all of these, you know, and I mean, those towers look very Egyptian. They look like the Egyptian towers that the pharaohs set up. That we have one in Washington D.C. that's, you know, based off of that. And it's and the end of it is like, oh yeah, let's go into Starstone now because there's something in that tower. They were using, basically, the ancients were using these towers to like capture energy and to then transmit it or something, and and then it sends you into Starstone Tower, the second dungeon.
That's really cool.
It's
That's
really
cool.
It is. It's really neat. I kind of wish. Here's what I would love to see. Just and then we got to get back to Wolf because we didn't ask him what he wanted added. He did. He said so he wanted the missions changed. Yeah. So I kind of would like to see. I hate this trope in every MMO, and I know they do it because the players expect it. But in every MMO, you go, you talk to the mission giver, and then you can just click through it, and then open up your map, and it drops a little waypoint on the map saying, go here. And then once you get there, a little thing pops up on the right side of your screen that says, kill 10 skeletons and acquire 3 what's-it's. Get 3 MacGuffins and bring them back to quest giver, you know, Dan Smith. And I would really love if at some point this game or some other game, I would just love if some MMO somewhere were to start to do where they said, we're not going to tell you that. You have to listen to what the quest giver says and go, he'll say, go to the tower to the west of the hill. Actually listen to him and open up your own fucking map and make a little marker on the tower to the west of the hill and go there. And then, now here's what you could do as a backup. You could say, if you do this, you get the bonus XP, the bonus loot, the bonus whatever. Now, let's say you're you're a busy guy, you're working, you know, every day, 10 hours a day, you only get to play on the weekends, and you've got your kids yapping at you in the background, and the dog's barking, your wife needs you to bring in groceries, and you fucking just didn't hear it, whatever. Or you heard it, but it was last week, and you haven't played since then, you haven't logged on, and you're like, what the fuck, what was I doing? Then click on the thing where it's like, give me the hint, and I'll give up the bonus XP. Give me the hint. Throw the little marker on the map, and I can do this idiot style.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
But I give up. Like, make it to where it pays more to actually listen to the story and pay attention. Because I think you're right, Sue. They paid people to make this brilliant story and voice actors and all of this stuff to be really, really cool. And then we skip it. So I would love to see somebody do that. Ark, you're up. No, you went first. So I guess I'm up. 1.0.5, I fucking loved it. It's incredible, so good. I cannot say enough good about it. The stuff that's coming, I'm super, super excited for. You've heard me already more than enough. I don't need to go more. What would I want? If there's one thing that I could tell Amazon Game Studio, hey, please add this to the game. So I am a master crafter. I am an omni crafter. I'm going with everything. I have my tank PvP set, my tank PvE gear set. I have my mining luck set. I have my logging luck set. I have my harvesting luck set. I have my regular just luck set. That's not for crafting, it's for popping chests. I have my leatherworking set, my armoring set, my cooking set, my arcana set, I have many crafters. I have all of these sets of clothes. I would very much love it if they were to allow me to put in there loadouts. I can just create loadouts and say mining set and then put all the pieces in there. This is the mining set, so that I can just click one button that says equip mining set, and then boom, all of my tinking clothes goes off, all of my mining clothes goes on. Other MMOs do this. I'm not reinventing the wheel. Amazon, you're doing a phenomenal job. You are killing it with this game. You are killing it. Kudos to you. Please take this one thing that all the other MMOs do and add it to your repertoire. Anybody got any feelings on that? Gear loadouts?
It doesn't affect me in the slightest, but one thing that really strikes me about that is that it's such a like I don't mean to belittle what you're wishing for at all. It's a great idea, but it is a relatively small quality of life change. Like you're not demanding huge new features or massive like amounts of new content. Like what you're asking for is basically a quality of life tweak, and the fact that that's your biggest wish for the game is awesome.
Okay. So I want to take a second to put that aside and to give a huge shout out to Controladon, friend of the show, who has just completed the New York Marathon. He's been training for this for a long fucking time. He just completed it. Huge salute to you, sir. I'm sure he'll be after the show down there in chat soon. He said his plan was when he came home, he was going to take the world's longest shower, get some ice cold beers, and play some New World with not moving. So
Not
huge,
gonna go nowhere, do anything.
huge shout out to Controladon. We love you, brother. Good, well done, well done.
I sent him a friend request earlier on the new server. Now I understand why he hasn't accepted it yet.
Yeah. Because from this morning, he's been running around New York City. All right.
Nice.
Let's hop in on a little Star Citizen and whatnot. Well, let me go around first and see who's got what, and then we'll hop into Star Citizen because I know 3.15 is literally, they're at the point where it's basically a release candidate. I think we're going to get 3.15 dropped to the PU this actual week. So let's go around. Let's start with Suv, go to Wolf, then to Ark. Your thoughts on all of this and anything else you want to add in there. Go ahead, Suv.
I don't have anything, I'm afraid. I for this I will have to ask to be treated as an interested, ignorant observer because I have not been following 3.5 this week or Star Citizen news at all. But I have been I have heard people say that it's imminent and it's been really exciting in the PTU, so I can't wait to try it. You there?
I think he dropped off.
I think we might have lost Kai.
Maybe.
Well,
I'm kind
do
of
you
in
wanna-
the
Yeah, go on.
I'm kind of in the same boat as you, Suv. I've been, we've got a huge section of our Discord that is just devoted to everything Star Citizen. And if you're a member of the Discord and you can't see the Star Citizen or New World or Elite or all those rooms, you need to go to the Choose Your Roles channel and you need to click on the reaction button at the bottom, and then the entire section of the server for that opens up to you. I've been reading through everything. I definitely think that it's to the point of being a release candidate, and I've heard one side of the spectrum and other. It's either you're going to absolutely love it and have a blast, or you are going to hate how tactically advanced the AI is as they come from areas you didn't even know somebody could sneak around to and proceed to rape your face while you're trying to do something in a mission.
So for the record,
that just sounds like a great game design to me.
So for the record, I that's why I teed you guys up and said go one to the next to the next. I ran out of beer, so I had to go downstairs to get a dragon's milk real quick. But I that's why I was like, hey, you first Suv go, then Wolf, then Ark, then whatever. But to Wolf's point, everyone's been saying for forever, man, the one thing about Star Citizen is the AI is so dumb. It's so easy to kill. I wish they would make the AI better. All right, bitch, watch out what you wish for, because you got it. Let's see what you got now. Yeah, Ark, you were up. Your thoughts on what you've seen from the 3.15, from people talking about it and whatnot, and what you're excited for and whatever.
Yeah, man, I'm a lot like Civ in this sense. The most I know about 1.5 is listening to gamers talk about it every time he's in New World chat. That's about the most. I mean, I'm excited to play it. I watched, as I mentioned last week, I watched Dune recently, so it's got me all pumped up, and I want to do some space stuff. I just can't pull myself out of Eternum here. I just
New World has you hard, dude. Yeah.
It has me hard, man. I can't, like, I'm excited to see it, but I'm also like, I'm not the PU kind of player. I want to play when there's as least bugs as humanly possible.
So you mean PTU player? You are a PU
PTU,
player.
like, yeah, I'm a more of a PU. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't want to play a lot of bugs. I want to play when it's ready to go, so I can give an honest opinion of it. I don't have time to beta test stuff, but yeah, I'm excited, especially since there's been a lot of great sci-fi like flicks that have gotten my kind of headspace in the right place to play a game. It's just none of them are competing with my current wife in Eternum here.
New World has you deep, my friend, and you know what? I can't say that I don't understand the feeling, because yeah, I am so deep into New World at this point myself. All right, beautiful. My thoughts on 3.15 so far and all the stuff that I've heard. Yeah, the AI looks amazing. They did a very crafty, I think they did a very smart thing. They put loot from Squadron 42 in PTU Wave 1, and as a result, they got a whole lot of people to test the living shit out of that, the mechanics, the new looting mechanics, and they got a lot of feedback and made a lot of adjustments and made things, better in a lot of ways. I'm super psyched. I gotta admit, like, Wolf and I, we were supposed to play some Nomansky, the new expedition. We didn't get around to it because we just haven't
happen.
We haven't stopped. They've been a couple of times where we were kind of like, hey, do you want to whatever, or we could just stay in New World. It's fine. Yeah, so we're gonna have to do that soon.
That and everything I'm doing IRL has just been sapping away all my time. It's like, well, I could go do a puzzle, which would be fun. Or I could hack and slash at zombies and take out my frustrations, courtesy of the IRL shit causing. I'm gonna go beat up some zombies. Bye.
Yeah, so we're gonna get to that, but in addition to that, I don't want people to think, because look, if you've been watching this show for the last month, and even really the base show, you could be forgiven for thinking like, oh, Kai's not interested in Star Citizen anymore. Kai is all in on New World. And to a certain extent, that's right. That's true of the honeymoon period, of the, hey, this is a game that's out that I can play fully, and it's new, and I'm doing all of the stuffs. But don't mistake for 1 second that Star Citizen is my true love that I'm absolutely committed to in the long run. I think New World is the best game that's come out in the last decade. I think Star Citizen is the game that is going to change the world when it comes in the next 3 or 4 years. So I want to, for sure, assure everyone that if you were listening, like, wow, it seems like he doesn't care about Star Citizen anymore. That's not true. This month, that was true for the most part, but long term, that's not true. And I think what we're going to do, I'm going to talk to Katie. We're going to put some stuff together. I think we're going to put together a crew. We're going to name one of the ships. I've got a bunch of ships. We'll name one of them. And I think we're going to put together a crew, and it might be, like me and Tweaked and Suv and Wolf and Ark, what if we were to put together the continuing adventures of, and we had, like, maybe even we have 2 or 3 different ships, because we got a lot of people in our close family here, and 2 or 3 different ships, and we just do the continuing adventures of, and maybe one of them is sort of a cargo ship, and it's the continuing adventures of this group doing cargo running in a a C2, and one of them is Connie, combat ship, and it's whatever the continuing adventures of. But we're gonna start maybe streaming and doing some actual playing Star Citizen PU, and then also come on the show and talk about our adventures, and in that way organically work out some of our discussion topics of, hey man, this was fun. Oof, this needs work still. Holy shit, did you see how much they did to this? It's awesome now. Oof, this one took a step back. And we'll, have some organic conversations about the Star Citizen project, because I'm telling you right now, it's a situation that the game Star Citizen, the project Star Citizen, has turned a corner, and in the last 6 months to a year, they have repeatedly under-promised, over-delivered, thrown in stuff, sneaky stuff, added this, added that. We didn't even know that was coming. Boom, there it is. And
Yeah, agreed.
this last patch, 3.14, I think was the biggest patch that Star Citizen has had going back to 3.0 to the extent of changing the combat balance and changing the play from being a more or less singular experience of a bunch of people solo in a ship, like I'm solo in my ship, you're solo in your ship, you're solo in another ship, and we get together and do stuff, versus now it's much more of a reason to get together in a crew and do stuff. 3.15, as I just said, 3.14 is the biggest patch since 3.0 in that sense. 3.15 is the biggest, is an even bigger change. So like it's one of those deals where, like, if you have, patch after patch after patch of just world changing, holy shit, the game is all different now, that tells you without any question, like, they are moving in the right direction. Things are coming together, and this is an exciting time to be a Star Citizen player and a citizen of the stars, so to speak. So don't think that we're sleeping on that game, because we're not. And oh my God, I can't wait to get into it. We've been getting our New World stuff together, and I think we're in a pretty good place now where we could start maybe in the next couple of weeks, if start doing a 2 or 3 nights a week of New World, and then a night a week of maybe Star Citizen, and okay, maybe we'll throw in a little night of Expedition 4 on Nomansky, and maybe, who knows, maybe we'll even spend a night doing some silly shit like playing Devour, and we're running around trying to catch goats and running around from a demon lady or some shit. But yeah,
Sounds brilliant. I would love to spend a bit more time in Star Citizen.
Well, you can be on the crew, and we even have Kit Havoc in the chat volunteering if we need a Scottish engineer. So yeah, we got our
You
Scottish.
gotta have a Scottish engineer.
There you go. All right, so I want to give everybody an opportunity to add anything they want to talk about. I don't care if it's a movie, a TV show, some shit that you did for Halloween, New World stuff, Star Citizen stuff, Elite stuff, any kind of stuff, whatever. Ark, you got anything to add? If not, say goodnight to the people.
I just want to add, just to what you were just talking about, man. I think that'd be totally cool. I could definitely put it like a night a week aside, and maybe it's maybe it's a couple freaking ships. You know what I mean?
Maybe, yeah.
That would be freaking awesome, and we're able to just go out and, God damn it, sorry, I'm playing.
No worries.
He's
Anyway,
distracted.
yeah, maybe it's a couple ships, you know what I mean, and we just have a little fleet running, doing adventures and things, and that'd be something to talk about. So anyway, I'm down with that. Besides that, you know where to find me.
Right on. All right, Souv, close it down. You got
Dune.
what you got? Dune.
I watched Dune for the first time on Monday. It's really good. It's really, really good. It's really, really good cinema. It's quite like splitting it in half was absolutely the right decision. I also so I watched Dune on Monday, and then last night I went over to some friends and we watched the 1980s version of Dune. Wow.
The
Wow.
Lynch.
That is a
Yeah.
bad film. That is a staggeringly, shockingly, arrestingly bad film. Fuck.
So
Oh,
there
wow.
actually is a decent version of it called Spice Diver. You can go on YouTube and watch it for free. It's a
Spice Diver,
3.5
right, okay.
hour the Spice Diver version where he goes and edits stuff around and whatever. That movie, to be clear, because Wolf said the David Lynch version. David Lynch directed it, but then they hacked it up in editing. He wanted to do it, split it up in two, the same way as Denis Villeneuve. And
You'll get his name right one day.
they took it away from him. Oscar De Laurentiis took it away from him and said, "Nah, we're gonna just do it." And he literally said, "Take my name off the movie. I don't want to be associated with this shit."
Yeah.
Just as a heads up,
So
to be fair to him.
He's credited as Alan Smithy in the credits, which is a pseudonym that Hollywood uses when a director doesn't want to be associated with their project.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, oh my god, we watched the extended version, and fuck me, is it a shocking piece of film? 3 hours I will never get back. Wow, it's just shocking. But yeah, it was interesting because it's I read the book again relatively recently, and I think it is one of my favorite books. It is a brilliant piece of space fantasy, and it's just a brilliant story on any level. And the Villeneuve version of Dune is excellent. Splitting it in half was absolutely the right response. It's full of Hans Zimmer headbutting his keyboard, which is what we all want. The casting is exceptional. It's really artistic. It's a little bit, if you're going to levy a criticism, maybe like it's a little self-indulgent. A lot of the shots, like long shots of people's hair and long shots of sand blowing, like it's a little bit art house in a way, but like I forgive it because it's fantastic.
You watch your mouth. You can put a camera on. You can put a camera on that beautiful Zendaya just standing around for 20 minutes, and I'll watch.
All right, fair enough. But yeah, it's very, very good cinema. It's really, really good. I also loved how faithful it was to the original, like scene by scene, blow by blow. It's really faithful. They didn't fuck around with it. They didn't try and view it through the prism of today. They just took a really great book and tried to make it into a really good film. And it's really, really good. I missed out when we talked about it when it first came out, so I thought I'd get my end in now.
Oh, beautiful! I love it. Beautiful. All right. Anything else you got to add?
No. Thank you, lovely people, and we will see you next week.
Yes. Wolf, what you got?
I have got to watch Finch. I've got to cue that up here in a little while, and I got to watch the episode of Foundation that just came out. I'm looking forward to both of those. I'm really liking the idea of kind of, once things get a little, out of the honeymoon with New World, this day is this day is this, just because, it gives some time on all the different games that we know and love, and we're always also looking out for stuff. But let's be honest, we've got New World that, you said your thing last week of, you had to needle me into playing this game, and you really did. I mean, Suv found an article. What was it, Suv? It was from PC Gamer, right? The one about how the guy who did not like MMOs had done a few of them, but just generically didn't like the genre. Like, I was that guy. I played a handful of them, and really what it came down to was one of the kind of takeaways that author made of you spend the whole time, you find out what the meta is, and you only roll the meta, which is not a thing that we have in New World, and I absolutely love it. But you're not just sitting there making macros or button mashing in cadence and and moving to a particular spot and then doing this for this boss fight and then moving over here so that you don't have this problem, blah blah blah. Like, that's not in this. Now, there is one dungeon where it's they completely up the game of everything, and it's going to be a bit more MMO dungeon-y. But the fact of the matter is that hello puppy. The fact of the matter is that we're not just button mashing. There is a tremendous amount of skill-based play that this game requires.
Mm.
And honestly, I think that's the number one thing that has been the attractant and giving stick to this game to the people who came over from playing Star Citizen, playing Elite Dangerous, vastly different games, both skill based in what you're doing, especially it's going to be for the combat mostly, but I can sneak around in this game and I have to do it with skill. And oh, by the way, if I'm dressed in whatever that's all bright and shiny, I can hide under this bush all I want, but the sun is gleaming off of me and every mob within 5 miles is going to see me. Like there's nuance to this game that wasn't outwardly present in the other MMOs that I've played, and it has made this game ultimately that much more enjoyable. And I look forward to I'm level 46 right now. Once I get to level 50, I'm going to join you guys in the Outpost Rush stuff, and hopefully I can get in a couple wars. But let's be honest, with High Pop, they're going to pick all 60s and be done with it. So I'll
You'll catch up.
continue climbing the ladder to get to 60. But it's not like it's very hard to level in this game. Like you can get rushed through and get all your levels, but if you never learned how to play with the sword and shield, the great axe, the hammer, the hatchet, the musket, like you're not gonna be able to go around and do stuff on your own. So like I've been trying a couple of different weapons, right? I was doing sword and shield. I got that to 20, and now I've got the great axe, and I'm gonna get it up to 20 and see what I can do with it, and then I'll pick some other weapon set. But I'm learning how to do the different stuff in the game by playing the game and not just going to Google and YouTube to find out, okay, how am I supposed to actually do this? If I make a mistake, I can just respec. And now they made the respecs super cheap. That means I can play around with some just random shit and see if I like doing that, because as Ark was saying, and has been saying for multiple times now, if you don't know how to use the stuff that you have put on your weapon for the abilities and things like that, you're ultimately ineffective. And oh, by the way, if you come across somebody who's got something completely weird in a PvP setup, you've got to figure out what it is they've got, how they're using it, so that you can counter that and then capitalize on whatever weaknesses or whatnot that particular setup has in order to kill them. Like that's new. Very new. I love it.
Yeah.
Right
and
on.
with that, good night, everyone.
Right on. All right. We love you all. Hope you've had a great time with us. Would love to see more of you in New World. Commander Meskimi, ECC, come and join us. We're on the Pluto server, US East Pluto. I'm telling you right now, we've got plenty of people from Europe. Arcaven plays from Europe. Suv plays from Europe. Ben plays from Europe. Kid Havoc. We have many Europe players. You can play with us. We got guys playing from Australia with us on our server. We got Gamers Cafe playing from Australia. The ping, the way they handle it on this game is not bad. It is legit. So come and join us. This game, you got to play it. Wintermute, I would love for you to come join us, brother. Yeah, Poto, Blacksmith, Captain Dusty. We love you all. All of the people here. There's so much more. So many. I just want to thank everybody. Soul Ripper. Just want to thank you all and say, come join us. This is a really, really fun game. It's $40. There's no, what do you call it? Subscription cost. You pay $40 once. Come join us. We're on US East Pluto server. It's so fun. And then look for us. We're going to be doing more stuff in Star Citizen soon. We got to get to at some point this week. Wolf, you and I got a No Man's Sky it up.
Yeah.
But we're just having so much fun right now in New World. Go ahead.
Real quick, in New World, when you're doing your character transfers, Arcadia Tau, that's the server grouping you're looking for,
Yep.
because of course they don't make it easily sortable by alphabet
Well, it'll
on the
be
left. At least it didn't when I did it.
It'll be soon. It'll be easier in a couple weeks because they're about to merge a bunch of the low pop servers in. But it is US East. The server grouping is Arcadia Tau. The actual server is Pluto, like the planet. Super easy. Yes, I know it's a dwarf planet. Fuck off. But it's super easy. And come and join us. We love you. All right. Good night, everybody. We love you all, and we hope that you have a good night. Hey, Soul Citizens got a stream going in just a couple hours. Check them out. We love the Soul Citizens. And with that, I'm going to play you out with the awesome music that was given to us by New Soul. So Fist to Face and Pops and why am I blanking on her name? Princess Jade? Jade Starwatcher. We love you. Thank you so much. That's not the right one. That's not the right one. Damn it.
Have a good trip.